All right, we've come to the point where we need to get our sequence out of Premiere Pro and into the hands of the great wide world. In this movie, we're going to discuss the basic process of exporting a standalone file, which will let us deliver it to our client, or send it along to another program for encoding or DVD authoring, or uploading to the web. Then, in the next movies, we'll be talking about some interesting add-ons that you can bake into your export, as well as how to batch export multiple files. So to export my sequence, I either need to make sure that my timeline is selected or that I have selected the sequence in the project pane. And then I can just come up to File, Export, Media, or choose Command-M or Control-M on a PC. When I do that, the export settings window pops up, and there are a lot of choices that you can make here, and we'll be covering the most important ones. So right up here, we can choose to export the media to match the sequence, which just means that the exported file would have the same resolution, the same frame size, the same frame rate as the current sequence. All you need to do is check this box here. When you do that, a lot of the options down here simply gray out. You no longer have these options that you can customize. I'm going to uncheck that for now. Or you can choose to encode it to a lot of different formats and codecs by choosing some of the options from these drop-down menus. Notice that under Format, there are a lot of options. There are video files, like QuickTime, H.264, and MPEG formats. There are audio files, like AAC, AIFF, MP3, and WAV files. And there are image files, like JPEG, TIFF, Targa, and so on. By the way, choosing one of the image file options will give you a sequence of images for your sequence, not a still frame. If you need to export a still frame, check out the Working with Stills in a Video Environment movie earlier in the course. So depending on what you need the file for, how high quality you need it, how small you need it, where it's going next, you could choose any number of these options. For our purpose, let's say that I need to export a relatively high quality but small file that I want to put up on Vimeo for my client to view. In that case, I'm going to choose a really great codec that meets those specs, H.264. And once I choose that, a whole lot of options come up under Preset. H.264 is a terrific codec to send to all types of devices and all types of web services. So let's see what we have for Vimeo down here. I will be choosing Vimeo HD 720p 2997, which will match my sequence settings. I also want to come here and make sure that I'm exporting both video and audio, which I am. Right here is where you can name the file and determine its destination, so I'll just click on it, and it's going to my desktop, and I'm okay with that for the name, so I'll save. Right here, my Video tab shows me my video properties, like resolution, frame rate, aspect ratio, field order, and bitrate settings. A lot of these properties, which stem from your settings up here, are listed here in the Summary tab. So if you take a look at your summary and you need to make any changes, you just come down here to Video to do so. There are other tabs here. There's Effects, which allow you to do things like export your file with LUTs, watermarks, timecode, and the like, and we'll be covering that later in this chapter. There's Audio, which allows you to specify your audio settings. There's Multiplexer, which controls how video and audio data are merged into a single stream. The exact options available depend on the format you choose, and sometimes, depending on what you choose, this tab might not even be here. There's Captions, if you're exporting closed captioning data, either as a separate sidecar file that contains the caption data, or embedded within the output file. We don't have any captioning data, so everything's grayed out. And then finally, there's FTP, and that allows you to input FTP server information so that the file exports and then immediately uploads via FTP to the server of your choice. We won't worry about any of these options for now, so I'm going to head back to Video. Now I'm going to come down here to the lower left. I want to make sure that I have this set correctly. Right now, I have Sequence In to Out. If I take a look at these options here, I have Entire Sequence, Work Area, and Custom. If you want just a certain area of your sequence selected, you'd set in and out points in your sequence. However, you can also set them here within the Export Settings window. So if I did Sequence In to Out, I could drag these little triangles to the section that I wanted to export. Now, previous to the Creative Cloud versions of the software, there was another method for defining a portion of your timeline, and that was using the work area. I'm just going to exit out of here real quick, and I'm going to show you what this means. I can show my work area by coming up to this menu here and choosing Work Area Bar. Now this is going to give me this bar right here. Then I just drag this over a section that I want to focus on rendering or exporting or something like that. Now this has been hidden in the most recent versions of Premiere Pro because, you know what, you can basically just use in and out points to get the job done for anything that you previously needed a work area for. So I'm going to put the work area away and just hide that one more time. And I just want to show you that if I did put in and out points here in the timeline, and then I opened up the export settings window, Command M, you can see that that in and out point has been preserved. Again, I could change that here if I wanted to. With all of that said, I do want the entire sequence instead of in and out points, so I'll choose that again. Now I'm going to come over here to the lower right and discuss just a couple of these options. You might consider checking this box here, Use Maximum Render Quality. This option will tell Premiere to work really hard to give you a really sharp, high-quality video of small size, but of course that's going to take a little bit more time to process than just a regular export. So if you have the time, you can check this box and see if you notice a discernible difference between the maximum render quality and the regular quality. For a web video, I usually just leave this unchecked. Also, right here, Import into Project. This is often a useful option if you just need a mix down of your show to come right back into your project. So it's going to perform the export, but then it'll bring it right back into Premiere for you to work with. Now, one thing that happened when I exited the export settings window and went back to Premiere to show you the work area is that my settings up here reset. So I'm just going to go back to H.264 with my specific Vimeo setting. Now I think I'm happy with all of the settings, so I'm going to come down here to Export. This is going to send out a single file from Premiere Pro. If you want to send out multiple files or multiple formats, you need to use the Q option right here so that you can use Adobe Media Encoder to perform your export. We'll explore that in a future movie. All right, the export is done. I'll hide Premiere. And here's the file. Let's go ahead and play a little bit of it. Okay, looks really good. Now my video is all ready to upload to Vimeo to show my client.